Hi, and welcome to the links. 50k subscribers! What an incredible number! And even if the last steps took quite a while, we now finally reached this milestone. And so I want to celebrate together with you who make this channel possible in the first place. Quite a while ago I asked you what you like to see as a celebration video, and you voted for the channel mascot Lynx as BJD. So this is exactly what we're going to do today. But before we start, let me tell you to stick to the end of this video for some special surprises. As a base, I chose this Fairyland Minifee Mio in white skin. It's a discontinued sculpt nowadays, but I ordered her over a year ago, so she wasn't back then. As you can see, I also filmed this back in my old studio with my old camera, but let's take a closer look at her nevertheless. Her feet and hands are magnetic, and so I couldn't resist in ordering her an extra pair of hands. The reason I chose this sculpt was because she looks quite childish, innocent and cute, which was perfect for Lynx. Moreover, there are magnets already installed in her head for magnetic ears to attach to, and since she's a minifee, there are a whole lot of clothes and patterns available online. Lynx has grey skin with white gradients, and for no paint scratching problems I decided to dye her instead of painting. Or better, I decided to let her be dyed by my lovely friend Lena from Kosomolski dolls. She has way more experience with dyeing BJDs, and since this doll was so super important to me, I did not want to mess her up. And here we are now, in the new studio with our beautiful dyed doll. Lena did a fantastic job on dyeing the gradient and all, and I'm super thankful. Check out her channel that I'll link in the description and leave her some love. As you can see, I also ordered a sleeping head for her, so there will be quite a few options for pictures in the end. But first we need to customize her, right? Lynx is, as you probably already guessed, a lynx. So she has no human ears and needs some pointy ones. This is where the magnets really come in handy, cause I could create some magnetic ones like that. First I connected a little pile of magnets with glue before going in with my beloved epoxy sculpt and formed some ears on top of the magnets. Keeping them removable like that will make it so much easier when it comes to wig making, so this is why I did not connect them directly with a head. And one new thing you probably noticed when you're a regular watcher of this channel, we now have an inventory with the frequently used materials. I'm sure I have forgotten a lot, but so you can keep easier track on what I'm using by the time you watch me work. For her human ears, I decided to let them be, because the hair will cover them up anyway, and so there would be no need to destroy the original doll. The ones of you who are familiar with ball-jointed dolls probably know how expensive these are. Once the first layer of clay was dry, I started sanding down the first rough imperfections. After that, I added more epoxy to smooth out any unevenness and added little hairs to the tip of the ears. I thought that looked super adorable, but sadly they broke, so I removed them again during the last sanding sessions. But this won't be the end of the bushy tips. Although before that, let's give them some color. To do that, I primed them with several layers of white gesso to have a nice base. I also could have used some spray primer and my airbrush, but I thought the brush strokes gave it a more fur-like look. As for color, I did not use straight black, but Payne's Grey instead. It is way more saturated than normal grays and fits pretty good in her blue tone heavy design. I added a few layers to get it pretty dark and dabbed some white inside the ears in the end. For her wig, I prepared a cap off camera. I really like to keep some fabric next to the ears and more in the neck than you usually see with wig caps, because hair grows there naturally, right? Since I discovered the yarn pulling method from Hikikiksu, I enjoy working with this material even more, and for Lynx now I mixed a beautiful color out of these 3 yarn colors. After that I made some wefts and glued them on the wig cap. When I started, I only used the turquoise yarn, so these wefts look a little different. But I enjoyed the mixed color way more, so I ended up using the first wefts only for the bottom layer. As a guideline, I sketched the part for the bangs and the part line on the cap, and started gluing the wefts row by row until I reached the top. In the end, I glued the parting wefts in opposite directions to the cap and flipped them over after they dried. I'm still not really good with that. My part line wefts always end up too thin, so you can still see the glue line shining through, but it gets better with every wig I make. What I have to admit is that styling this short hairstyle was such a pain for me. It took me literally ages and it still looks messy and like she just tried cutting her hair herself. But well, maybe she did after all. Either way, here you can see our cute little Lynx with her finished wig and ears. Seeing it on camera now, the wig actually looks pretty clean. Maybe I'm just too hard with myself. As you can see, I glued some strands of black nylon hair to the ears to create these typical brushes at the end of Lynx's ears. Looks pretty cute, right? Now on to the most exciting part, paint! I sprayed the whole doll with a few layers of diluted Liquitex matte medium and started painting with my gouache paints. I actually started with hands and feet since I was intimidated by the face. It's so stupid because I can always start over, but since this doll represents the main character of this channel, I was so afraid to mess her up. Anyway, when all the hands and feet had their first layer of white paint, it was time to tackle her face. Just like the last times I painted dolls, I started with some blue blushing here and there for a more realistic look in the end. After that, I always add some blushing on the cheeks and lips. I also went in with some body blushing. Body blushing is always a little tricky because it scratches off easily when changing clothes, for example, and looks ugly as a result. But completely without body blushing, the doll looks too less alive for my taste, so I couldn't resist. After the first pastel layer, I saved my progress with another layer of sealant and continue with gouache colors. I started with a very dark purple to draw her eyeliner. Even though she does not use any makeup, I gave her a strong winged eyeliner to mimic the markings of the Lynx. Unlike fashion dolls, I discovered that painting a head not attached to a body is way more convenient for me when it comes to BJDs, by the way. I do have to admit that her unnatural skin color gave me some difficulties when it comes to choosing colors. The grey of hers has quite a brown-greenish touch to it, but overall her color scheme is pretty blue tone heavy, so when it comes to shadows, I was quite unsure. But the light pink blushing in combination with the purples and blues made her look almost like a clown midway, and I got a bit worried. I of course could have just used different variations of grey, but that would have looked very monochromatic and not very alive in my opinion. So going with very saturated colors first and dull them down during the process was definitely the right choice, and I'm happy I kept going. Something I learned with this face up was that adding a white line to the dark ones of the lid fold looks really good, so I will keep doing that for sure. If you're wondering why I keep going in with a pretty big brush, that's to erase any mistakes. Since gouache paint can be reactivated with water, you can wipe it away with a wet paintbrush, for example. That method gave me way more control than a wet Q-tip or cotton pad. As always, the eyebrows gave me the most struggle, so I really needed to wipe away and redraw them a lot. And yes, I know that she has bangs and no one will ever see them. But still, I'm very proud of these ones now. Guess I finally found a method that works for me. At first, I draw the end of the brows with gouache paints in a dark tone. After that, I brush on lighter pastel dust to fill the other half of the brow, and in the end, I add single strands on the pastel with a dark color and white. When the face-up was done, I sealed it with several layers of Liquitex matte varnish. I also sprayed her with one layer of MSC, cause it says it's UV protective and that gave me a better feeling. It's really important to seal gouache paint really good, so that there's no chance of reactivating in the end. I made these eyes off camera out of resin for her to wear. But before we add them, she needed some lashes that I glued inside her eye holes. And since her eyes are so big, there was not even the need to trim them afterwards. Ain't she like super cute? For her outfit, I was a little unsure at first what I wanted her to wear. The only thing I was sure about though was cute socks, so I started with them. I used a pattern from Seong Studio on Etsy and wished I had read the instruction better, because there was clearly said it would only work with stretchy fabric, and this one was not. What a shame, these would have been so cute. Well, I of course redid them afterwards with the right fabric. For her top, I used a pattern from Puppenzucker that I altered a bit to have a cute crop top sweater. I followed the instruction and sewed the arm pieces to the front of the top. After that, I paused the process for making some more adjustments. Do you remember this cool vinyl stuff that I once got from Arteza? I really enjoyed using it back then, so I wanted to give it another go now. I created this design for a shirt to cut out of the vinyl. Since I do not have a plotter, I did this by hand, which was quite a challenge at this size, but I think you can still recognize it, right? I ironed it on the fabric and got this adorable little sweatshirt design. I also sewed her some pants, but that was so difficult for me that I was not able to film it. Either way, she is done! I love her to pieces and I'm so happy about her outcome. She really gives off this childish, cute and innocent vibe I was going for in my opinion. The ones of you who follow me for a while now probably know that I already made a Lynx doll in the past, but it was a fashion doll and did not turn out like I wanted. So I'm even more happy about this version now. Lynx is also a character in my doll world called Erinor. I can't tell you much about her story at this point, but you can be sure that she will meet all the other dolls and goes on adventures with them. Lynx is obviously not a human, which means she is a magic being from Mogra. But that's about all she knows about herself. Lynx has a special form of amnesia and can only remember things that happened within the last 5 years. So it's not surprising that she has a very cheerful and happy personality, as well as being quite naive, just like a child. If you're interested in more information about her story, how she got her name, and what's it all about with her memories, you are lucky, since I plan to turn the whole story with all my BJD characters into a comic. At this point, I'm not completely sure if I make it a photo story or if I would draw it like an actual comic. But I will definitely keep you updated on my decision. And now let me tell you about the amazing surprises. But before that, I might jump into the right outfit. Speaking of outfit, don't you think this is super adorable? And wouldn't it be nice if we could wear partner outfits? I guess you're already seeing where I'm heading at. Yes, there is official the Lynx merch available now. Head over to Teespring for some shirts or hoodies and save some money with this coupon code. More designs will be added over time, of course. And if you're wondering what happened to Lynx's sleeping hat, well, I do plan to try streaming on Twitch, and I will repaint this as my first stream. Updates on this will be here on YouTube and Instagram, so hit the bell button to never miss any exciting news. A huge thank you to all you wonderful little lynxes, and a special thank you to my lovely patrons. Without you, I would not be able to do what I love so much and share this passion with all of you. You are truly amazing, and I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for this milestone. I hope you liked this video. Have a wonderful day, my little lynxes. See you soon. Tschüss!